Gonna try not to make 1,000 first dates are the worst, am I right jokes while discussing Drop, the new Blumhouse release starring Meghann Fahy and Brendan Sklenar. Just feels like it wants to be Sklenar, but it's Sklenar, I think. From horror director veteran Christopher Landon. Let's see how I do. Let's discuss. Okay, quick disclaimer though. I wrote a film called Meghann is a Good Girl that's looking to shoot in New Jersey this summer. And Airdrop is like slightly involved in the plot, and one of the main characters is also named Violet, but I swear I didn't copy it. I wrote this film 2 years ago. I have the copyright notice to prove it. I was actually pissed when I found out that there were similarities, but the similarities really do not exceed past those two things that I just said, so I think we're good. Anyway, Drop is a film that reminds me of thrillers of a time gone by, you know? In like a really great way. I didn't exactly have the highest expectations of this film when I went in, just because I felt like it could, like, very easily could veer off into slightly corny, kitschy territory. But, well, it did a little bit, but not in a way that was like really bothersome, in a way that I felt sort of endeared by. So Drop is about a widowed mother's first date in years takes a terrifying turn when she's bombarded with anonymous threatening messages on her phone during their upscale dinner, leaving her questioning if her charming date is behind the harassment. So Violet finally meets up with the handsome photographer that she's been messaging with on this app for months now, leaving her 5-year-old son to be babysat by her sister. She's feeling kind of like meh about the date because it's been so long since she's been on a date, and she's also still sort of healing from the trauma of her abusive ex-husband. And the film kind of opens with a flashback of this very traumatic event that happens with the ex. And that sort of plays an important part. Well, I think it's meant to play a really important part in the plot, but for me, it sort of fell flat for me. But either way, we open up and we realize very quickly that Violet, played by Meghann Fahy, is dealing with some trauma here. Ever since I first laid eyes on that beautiful freckled face and those piercing blue eyes, and realized how insanely talented Meghann Fahy is in The White Lotus Season 2, I was a huge fan. And honestly, Drop is kind of all the more reason to be. Her character has quite the heavy lift in this film, and she honestly just like makes it look easy. Her face is so beautiful. Beyond that, so expressive. Like, she's not making these crazy facial expressions all the time, but she really is able to convey a lot of emotion in very, very subtle movements and expressions that sort of pour out of her eyes. Like, I'm not here to comment on anybody's Botox, but whoever does hers is doing a great job. So what did I like about this film? The performances. There are 2 great actors in the lead of this film. Their chemistry together was also really strong. If you ignore the like weird airdrop threatening messages that's happening in this film, then you might for a second think, wait, maybe I'm just like watching a little cute first date between these 2 attractive people. And that brings me to the second thing that I liked, which was the direction. I've been loving Christopher Landon in 2025. He wrote Hard Eyes, and if you haven't seen that video, I loved Hard Eyes. I thought it was such a fun new slasher that knew exactly what it was. This was not a film that was trying to reinvent the wheel or, you know, make some broad social commentary. It was really just an entertaining slasher with another 2 great leads. And I said the same thing about that movie that I'm going to say about Drop, which is if you take out the slasher elements of Hard Eyes, you're really watching 2 actors, Mason Gooding and Olivia Holt, sort of like fall in love, and it feels like you're watching a rom-com. And I felt similarly to that in Drop. Obviously, the circumstances were a little bit different, and this was much more of like a contained panic room. I've heard people compare it to Red Eye, which I love Red Eye, contained type of thriller. So it didn't feel as natural to be like, oh, if you take out those elements, then we're just like watching a first date. But I do feel like their chemistry was very evident, and there were a few moments where I was like, oh, I feel so sad that they're going through this, because they'd obviously like really hit it off otherwise. Christopher Landon was also a producer on the film Time Cut, which is like a super cute little nostalgia 90s slasher that you can watch on Netflix. It has totally killer vibes, which I loved. But Christopher Landon's most notable credits are probably Happy Death Day and freaky. Fun fact, my friend Misha was in that movie. So anyway, Christopher Landon's got a great resume, and I know we're gonna see a lot more great films coming from him, and I personally will be in the audience to see them all. There are a lot of cool shots in this film. As a filmmaker myself, I can really tell that like they put a lot of care into making this film visually interesting and having like callbacks to some great classics. I've also heard people compare it to Hitchcock, which I don't think I'm gonna do, but I see the reason for calling out the potential inspiration. They probably could have done the same scenes and been less inventive and probably would have been fine, but I appreciate that they went the extra mile. What I didn't like. Okay, so some of the dialogue was a little corny. Yeah, mostly I mean like the scenes between Violet and her sister, Jen. Yeah, I don't know. There was just a little bit too much like expository dialogue happening here that I was like, there's probably a better way for the audience to find all that out, but small complaint. Also, the plot felt ever so kitschy. It was inventive, but the airdrop, and you find out like who's doing it, you kind of realize that they didn't actually need to be doing that. It just felt like the game aspect of this mystery was a little bit shoehorned into the plot, where this game, whatever, probably could have fit in a way that felt a little bit more seamless to me and under like different circumstances. It also felt like a little bit long to me, but overall, I really did enjoy the film as a whole. Is it my favorite thriller ever? No, absolutely not. But I did enjoy it more than I expected to. And do I think it is worth going to see it in theaters? Yes, I do. I really do, because I think it's pretty low commitment. You will be taken on a fun little ride, and I think you'll enjoy yourself. So go check it out. Have you seen Drop yet? Leave a comment and let me know, and make sure to subscribe so we can hang out and talk movies again soon. Happy movie watching.